welcome to the Pikku Kimalainen knitting podcast. My name is Rachel Mariama and I am your host. This is a podcast about knitting and crochet and sometimes sewing, but we mainly focus on the fiber arts. And anyways, I'm back after a long period of working, and I've been pretty busy with my new sock pattern release, but I finally had a little bit of time to record an episode, so I decided to sit down and get that knocked out before the sun leaves. You can find me as Pikku Kimalainen on Instagram and Ravelry, although I'm most active on Instagram. As for this new sock pattern, just right off the bat, you can find that in my Etsy that I will link down below. I still haven't uploaded it to Ravelry just because, as many of you know, Ravelry has been having issues recently, and I wanted to upload the pattern on a platform that everybody could access. But I might go back sometime this week and see if any of those issues have been resolved. I know just personally I was having a lot of things acting up with my account, but I'm pretty sure those things have been resolved too, just with trying to upload the pattern. But anyways, yeah, you can find this sock pattern for Harvest Moon socks on my Etsy account, which is Honey Puppy Fiber Co. So anyways, I guess I'll jump straight in and talk about my new sock pattern. This is the first pattern that I've made, which was really scary. I have a feeling I'll revisit this pattern later as I get more comfortable with writing down instructions, but I did the best that I could so far. And I know as I develop as a pattern writer, I'll probably revisit it, but anyways, this is a top-down sock. So you cast on a 2x2 cuff, you knit the Latvian braid, and then you knit down, and it has a heel flap in gusset construction, and you Kitchener stitch the toe. And some features that I really like about this sock are the Latvian braid. It's a really fun thing to learn, and I add this to almost everything I knit now. And I also included instructions on how to continue a slip stitch pattern down through the heel turn, just because I find with slip stitch heels, whenever you turn the heel, it tends to not include the slip stitches down below, so that part of the fabric isn't reinforced. So I included instructions for that, as well as a slip stitch toe. So on a colorwork sock, you of course have all of the floats that reinforce the fabric and make it extra warm and extra durable. So I just wanted to make sure every single part of the sock's anatomy had that slip stitch or those floats to make it a little bit more durable. And I find I prefer having a lot of floats on my socks. Unless the gauge is really, really tight, sometimes I can feel the bumps of the stitches on the bottom, like the bottom of my foot, and it's kind of painful. And I don't know, as long as I have a really, really tight gauge, I can't feel those bumps. I'm not sure if anyone else has that issue with hand knit socks, but like seams on toes for commercially made socks, like I've got to flip them inside out. And I found with my hand knit socks, I either have to have these extra little floats for cushion, or have a really, really tight gauge. So I usually knit on size 0 needles, so I don't feel like the stitch definition on the bottom of my foot. I'm not sure if anyone else has that issue, but that's just something I wanted to consider in this pattern. So the gauge is pretty tight on this. It is 18 stitches by 19 rows. That fits into like a 2" by 2" square. Now of course you can these are knit on size 0 needles, so you can always go down a size and then use larger needles if you want to knit a sock maybe a little bit quicker, or you don't like knitting on a tight gauge. And there are 4 sizes. I've got the sizes right here. There's the first size, which is 7.1 inches. Size 2 is 8.5 inches in circumference, so these measurements here, like around the ankle and the foot. Size 3 is 9.9 inches, and size 4 is 11.3 inches in circumference. And there's also an additional option for calf shaping near the top, because these socks are really tall. They're about maybe 9 inches from the top of the heel to the top of the cuff. And here I knit one of the larger sizes, and you can see a very subtle bubble towards the top. And that's where I included instructions on calf shaping for every single size. So no matter what size you choose to knit, if you want a little extra wiggle room for your calf, you have the option of knitting the calf shaping chart. So it kind of expands the sizes to 8 potential sizes, or 8 size options. And yeah, that was really important for me to try and do my best with including as many sizes as I could, just because I want to be really size inclusive with my designs, and I hope this makes the cut. And I'm not sure, I might include some notes on like children's sizes later on, but yeah, 11.3 inches is the largest circumference, and 7.1 inches is the smallest circumference, and that is just with the notes for using size 0 needles. You can also use different needles and change the sizes that way. But yeah, 4 main sizes for my socks. I did a collaboration with KnittingNiqabi, and they dye really, really beautiful skeins of yarn, and she uses, she focuses on mainly 100% non-superwash yarns, and uses all natural dyes. All of her results are just absolutely amazing. So I actually snagged one of the kits, which is the Blood Moon kit. And so this is for the small size. They are all sold out now, unfortunately. They sold out pretty fast, which was exciting. And I was hoping to get a video out sooner, but I just got so busy with work and the release. Once I released the pattern, I had my wisdom tooth surgery, which it wasn't that fun.
Do I look like handsome Squidward? Handsome Squidward. Or is that because I can't feel my face?
No, you look like handsome Squidward. You alright?
And then working, it just was a little overwhelming. So I'm glad I got the pattern out when I did, because my life just got really busy for a few weeks. But this is one of the kits that they made. It is the Blood Moon kit, and this is for the two smaller sizes. So there were 2 different options in KnittingNiqabi's shop. There was the option for size 1 and 2, which only needed 50 grams of the main colors for the body of the sock. So this part and this part. And then options 3 and 4 included 100-gram skeins, so you can knit the sock. And that kind of made the kits a little bit more inclusive for people's budgets. So if somebody maybe wanted to knit the larger size but wanted to save a little bit of money, they could still order the smaller size and not include certain charts. But if somebody was knitting the smaller size and maybe wanted a little bit more yarn, because who doesn't want extra little bits and pieces of beautiful yarn, they could also order the sizes 3 and 4. So just 2 different price points for the kits to make it a little bit more flexible for people's budgets. And yeah, I'm so excited and so happy. They sold out. But anyways, this kit, the one that I got, Blood Moon, the red was dyed with madderwood and logwood, and the gray was dyed with avocado. There were 3 other kits. I'm sorry I'm talking about them because they're sold out, but I just wanted to talk about all of the amazing colors that she achieved. So she did the Supermoon kit, and the blue was naturally dyed with Himalayan rhubarb. The Harvest Moon kit, which was dyed with henna. The main color was dyed with henna. And then the Blue Moon kit, the main color was naturally dyed with logwood, and I'll include photos of her skeins. Yeah, they sold out pretty fast, and I can't wait to cast on another sock. I am very tempted to use this yarn in a sweater. I'm not sure. For now, I'm admiring it. And each person that ordered a kit also got a cute little stitch marker I made of a brass moon and a little glass bead. Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about KnittingNiqabi's, the quality of her yarn, because I knit a lot of color work, and I knit with a lot of, I would say, maybe high contrast colors. I tend to gravitate towards a really dark neutral color and then white. And using indie dyed yarns, there is a risk, or any dyed yarns in general, there is a risk of colors bleeding, and I have not experienced any bleeding from using her yarns at all. So I just wanted to do a little comparison. So this set has been worn quite a bit, so it is felted, but you can't see any areas where the color has bled into the white color. Oh, and I should mention, for these socks I also used Akara Yarns, her fingering weight base in the Coyote colorway, and it's got these really cute little brown speckles. So go give her shop a little look-see. I'll include links down below to everything I'm talking about, but you can't see any bleeding from this wonderful brown color. And this brown color is from KnittingNiqabi. And this is a sock that I knit up just to show off the calf shaping. And this one isn't washed, and the color faded just a very, very tiny amount. You would not be able to tell on camera, but if you looked under white light, it looks a little bit more faded from the sock that hasn't been washed yet, but I expect that, and the color is still very beautiful. It's still in the same range. And importantly, it did not bleed into the white. On the other hand, I have this sock that I'm knitting up. This is the Matterhorn sock pattern by Stone Knits. I'll talk a little bit more about it later. And I'm using that same Akara Yarns contrast color, and the darker color is Retrosaria Mondim yarn. I can't remember the colorway, but I'll include it in a little image. And here you can see the yarn. I did give these socks a really thorough wash, so the color didn't bleed, but the color bled into that white yarn, and the definition in my color work is kind of lost. And this you can't really see on camera. I feel like it's a little bit easier, but it just kind of changes the entire mood of the yarn. I'll try to include pictures so you can see, but it changed these are the same colors, but this one now is a little bit cooler, since that dark brown yarn bled into it. So that's always a problem, or not really a problem, but something I worry about whenever I knit color work with darker yarns that are dyed, is the bleeding issue. And you can always skein up a cake of yarn or whatever yarn you order, and you can give it a soak and a wash until the water runs clear. But sometimes it doesn't help. So as you can see with this Retrosario Mondim yarn, not too much of an issue, but I just wanted to bring that up because this is a issue that I come across quite a bit and something I expect with the type of color work I do. But with KnittingNiqabi's yarns, that was not an issue, and that's a really big deal for me. Just shows the high quality of her dye job. So I would encourage you to go check out her shop. She uses all natural yarns, and all of her dyes are natural, and it's just really fun seeing what plants can do to wool. Another nice little touch that Kelsey included in the kits was having a small little superwash option for the heels, toes, and cuffs. So you get two 25-gram mini skeins of superwash yarn, just because people tend to get a little bit nervous and maybe using 100% natural yarn in their socks, because socks do take quite a bit of, you know, friction, and they go through a lot. So it was just kind of a nice little thing to include for somebody that maybe wants to dip their toes into 100% natural yarns, and just see how it goes with knitting a sock without having to worry about patching up the heels or toes or cuffs, which has never been an issue for me using natural yarns for my socks. I prefer it because the water drains out of them a lot faster and they dry fast. But anyways, yeah, that is my Harvest Moon sock pattern. All of my testers were amazing. I'm losing my voice right now. But all of my testers were amazing, and I learned so much from them. As soon as I get the pattern up on Ravelry, I'm going to send everybody a copy of the pattern. But for now, it's just on my Etsy. It was amazing seeing everybody knit up the socks in their own color choices, and I just love seeing people tag me on Instagram when they knit the Harvest Moon socks. If you do knit a pair, tag me because I will share it. I love seeing people knit up the socks, and any input anyone has just helps me become a better pattern writer in the future. So this is my first pattern, so it might be a little bit rough. I really tried to write it as clearly as I could. And so far it's been okay. It's been good. I just know I'm gonna revisit it someday, but yeah, I just really appreciate everybody's feedback, and yeah, it's amazing. Anyways, I think I should talk about my Sacred Peaks cowl. So I knit this because the proceeds to this pattern were going to be donated to Navajo Hopi COVID-19 relief. So that money went to helping people deal with COVID-19. And the pattern is absolutely beautiful. So I actually did some things a little bit different. I didn't have the exact yarn. I believe it calls for DK weight, or maybe sport, but I used a worsted weight yarn, so it is a lot thicker and a lot bigger than it should be. And I also knit a reverse side, so it is a lot fluffier and warmer, and will definitely get me through this winter. So the yarn I used was some recycled yarn, or reclaimed yarn, that I got from a thrifted sweater. And the black yarn is just some old Knit Picks Wool of the Andes tweed. I also included some black yarn scraps. I find it really easy to just sort of sneak in weird little odds and ends that I get from my knitting into color work. just because if there is a break in the yarn, you don't really notice. So I can't really tell you where the areas are that I used a whole bunch of different yarn bases and whatnot. But yeah, it mixed together perfectly, and I don't think you can tell that this was Frankenstein together too much. It is very big, almost awkwardly big. So I think I might end up, getting a little shawl pin and putting it here for when I go outside, because then it hugs my face really nice. And it kind of flares out a bit so it can fit underneath my coat. And I can reverse it based on whatever mood I'm in. If I want to wear dark clothes, I can reverse it and wear this, or if I want to have something a bit more light and bright, I can wear this side. But yeah, it's a really lovely pattern, and the notes on the inspiration for this pattern are just amazing. I encourage you to go purchase this pattern. It was a lot of fun to knit, and it makes a really beautiful result. I was really tempted to have this be the body of a sweater because it would fit around my waist pretty well, but I decided I needed a cowl more than a sweater, so I decided to stick with the cowl pattern. There was a knit along for the Sacred Peaks cowl, but since I knit a reverse side, I couldn't quite make it on time. But that's okay. I still get a really amazing cowl. And that's it for finished objects. I've been really, really busy. I pulled a couple of all-nighters trying to get that pattern out before my surgery and before pulling honey off of the hives, which is really sticky and hot and exhausting. So I have a half-finished object, and that is my Matterhorn Sox by Stone Knits, and I really love this pattern. Again, I already explained this. The yarn I use for the main color is Mondim, and then the dark color is just some scrappy black yarn that I had laying around. Same with the light color here and this pink color here. I can't exactly tell you what brand the yarn is because I don't know. Just some scrap yarn I had lying around. And then the speckled toe is by Akara Yarns. And the mood of the yarn changed just a little bit because, again, the darker color bled into the lighter color, which is okay. It didn't change the mood of the socks too much. I mainly brought that up because I wanted to show off how amazing Kelsey's yarns are. Anyways, I think I have one sweater I'm working on right now. I do have a test knit I'm working on, but I don't want to share it yet. It's kind of secret. I am knitting the Ice Flowers Pullover. I've got needles everywhere. It's looking so amazing. I can't wait for this to be done. I had to take a little break on it just because I'm doing a test knit and my yarn came in. Well, the yarn I ordered for the test knit hasn't come in yet. I ordered from Holstgarn and I'm still waiting on that package. So I just went to my local yarn store and got some yarn there that they hand dyed. But I'll talk more about that in the next episode. But anyways, I'm gonna go get the skein of yarn that I use for the main color. I got this amazing yarn from Fibertales that I'm using for this sweater. I got 4 skeins, and it's an organic Gotland 2-ply in the charcoal colorway. So this is 81% organic Gotland yarn. It's 19% Falkland Merino. I have no idea why I'm having such a hard time pronouncing things now, but I am. And it is a DK weight. And this is a really, really beautiful rustic yarn. Don't focus on my face. and I was so happy to catch one of her updates. I remember before the last update where I purchased 4 skeins of that yarn from Fibertales. I think I was in Idaho. I was driving through Idaho after coming back from California, after taking care of the bees in California, and I had just enough reception to see the update and go to Etsy and look at the update, but not enough reception to actually purchase any yarn, so I kept refreshing the page, and I just saw it slowly sell out as I refreshed it, but I wasn't able to navigate beyond anything beyond that page, so that was a little sad, but I finally was able to purchase some, and it's absolutely beautiful. I decided to knit the Ice Flowers Pullover because the colorwork section is pretty big, and I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough for just a regular full-on plain sweater, so in order to stretch my fancy yarn a little bit, I included some, I think it might be Patton's Croy yarn. I got it from the thrift store, and I have no issues with mixing bases, unless they're really different bases like cotton and wool. So in order to fit my budget, I just kind of Frankenstein a sweater together. So it's very rare to see me use just one single brand of yarn in a sweater, unless it's Holskarn, because Holskarn is really affordable. But if I want to support a friend, or if I see something really beautiful and I just want to give it a try, I'll get a little bit and then I'll knit something colorwork if I want a big finished object. And I couldn't be more happy with the sweater. I put it down after I got to the divisions for the armpits and stuff, because it was a little bit more thinking than I wanted to do, and now I'm not quite sure where I'm at. But anyways, yeah, I have these cute little stitch markers, so I got a cute little bee from Fennel and Fiber. She's got an Etsy shop and she sells really adorable stitch markers and progress keepers. And then I have this little progress keeper, and it's just a little Palmer clay pretzel that I made. I did open up an Etsy shop for my pattern, so I just put a bunch of stitch markers that I made to see if people like them. So if you want a little moon stitch marker, those are in the Etsy shop, and then I have a bunch of little Palmer clay things that I made throughout the years, so I'm kind of cleaning those up, and those will be on the Etsy shop too. But yeah, that's mainly what I've been working on, and my beekeeper's quilt. I've been working on my beekeeper's quilt quite a bit, just because it's easy and mindless, and being so busy with work right now, that's kind of what I need. So it's grown. I'm not going to walk you through every single color I used, but yeah. It's quite big now. I can almost wear it as a cowl. It almost goes around my shoulders. And these are just the hexapuffs that I sewed together. I do have a whole basket of them, and now I'm kind of at that point. I think I hit 200 hexapuffs, so as I knit new colors and incorporate them into the quilt, I'm at that point where I can grab older colors and kind of be confident that the color distribution will be pretty even. I am sweating a little bit. It's kind of hot in this long sleeve. And the windows aren't open. I should probably do that. But yeah, that's what I've been working on recently, and I look forward to seeing everybody's Harvest Moon socks. I'm really excited. But yeah, that is it. I hope you've been having a safe summer. I have mostly been having a safe summer. It's been kind of smoky here from the forest fires, so my asthma's kind of been giving me trouble, but recently it hasn't been too smoky, so I've been feeling a little bit better. Yeah, my neighbors, they left a smoldering campfire outside their apartment, and so my fiance and I had to go put it out, and I was gonna wait for them to come home so I could kind of give them a little briefing on fire safety, but I think they moved out. I haven't seen their cars for a few weeks, so they left and then they tried burning the entire complex down. And there's a lot of dry grass around our complex, so I'm glad we caught that. What else have I been doing other than putting out fires? We've been pulling honey, and it's been really hot and sweaty and sticky. Honey pulling is really intense. And it's a really unique experience getting covered from head to toe in honey. It's kind of miserable, but it's good because it means the bees are really healthy. The bees are so healthy this year, and there's been like not really any breaks between the nectar flows, so they've just been making honey all summer. And yeah, not much else to talk about. I hope you guys have been safe, and I guess I'll see you next time. Again, I'm Pikku Kimalainen on Instagram and Ravelry. And I will leave a link to my Etsy store down below where you can find my pattern. That is Honey Puppy Fiber Company, and I will leave links down to Akara Yarns and KnittingNiqabi's store as well. So you should go check out their stores. They're really lovely and very talented. And yeah, I think I mentioned everything. My brain's kind of been in a fog lately, but bye. I am actually wearing the first pair that I ever knit, which was a while ago, maybe a few years ago. So here's what they look like. I used some whole scar and super soft, and I can't keep doing this, it's too funny. Okay. I gotta think about what I'm gonna say. Okay.